What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. It's currently maintenance time right now, and I thought I'd upload this so that you guys can check it out when you finally see the game go live. I want y'all to just take a quick watch if you're still debating on who to pick from the ML5 Selector. And we'll go through things real fast here, though. On the website, it says list available 5-star heroes. We'll go in order: Remnant, Violet, Conqueror Lilias, Mediator Kawerik, Sylvan, Vivian, Commander Pavel, Ray, and Astromancer Elena. I'm going to talk about each and every individual one of them. Mostly focused on PvP, as really the only PvE heroes on here is like Conqueror Lilias. She's really nice for areas like Trials, Ancient Inheritance, and Remnant Violet you can kind of throw into a lot of high pressure, high damage scenarios. The rest, though, like Mediator Kawerik, for example, there's way better cleansers for PvE that provide healing on top of it. Sylvan, Vivian, just not really needed. Same thing with most of these units, and even units like Ray, some of their kits don't work in certain areas. So PvP focused, if your focus is PvE, choose Conqueror Lilias or Remnant Violet, or just choose your favorite because PvE is a lot easier. Now, on top of that, guys, I want y'all to know too, if this is new, this isn't straight up a selector. I keep calling that just to simplify things, but this is more like the Moonlight Connection when you start the game and you grab your Spectre Tenebria or whoever else is on that starter list. You're gonna have to choose the hero, and then you'll have to do some missions. Some of them will take a while, and then you're gonna unlock them, is what this sounds like. So just be prepared. You can see here, guys, there's some different things you have to promote, awaken, and then assign defense. It's simple stuff, but it's gonna take a second just to fully unlock them. But essentially, it is a selector. It will be yours in the long run. Now, last thing before we get into I'll break it down in a tier list. I want to show one thing. This may not apply to a lot of y'all, but for those of you that might be watching, just a heads up, I think you should know this as a PSA at the very bottom. Dang, how far down do we have to go? The coin shop rotation coming up, guys, does have Sylvan, Vivian. So those that may have coins, in case you are sitting on coins, you want to get Vivian, you could pick it up from coins in the next rotation and then choose someone else on the selector, right? So just a quick PSA for y'all. But with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it, guys, and start here. So I have the tier list ready to go. I ordered them from the way we were looking at it on that page, and let's just get straight into it. So Remnant Violet, guys, I think I'm going to place into the strong pick tier. And let me just make one more statement overall. I promise we're going to jump straight into it. But all these units are good. I'm not even joking. I'm not going to say this as someone that's like, every character is playable. No, every single one of these Moonlight 5 stars is actually good, or can be good in the current meta. And so we're going to focus on the current meta. Now, some of these are going to be a little bit more niche, and you want to be more careful. That's either going to mean it's like for a specific playstyle. It's maybe more of a counter pick. You might need some specific gearing that some of y'all might not be ready for, and I'll make sure to cover that, okay? So I will include that in strengths, but I'm not kidding that every single one of these Moonlight 5 stars is good enough. So no matter what you pick, don't regret it. You'll be fine in the long run. Now, some of these are insane, though, and that's what we're going to talk about. So strong picks. Start with Remnant Violet. I said a little bit of PvE, but let's focus on the PvP side of things. This guy is... he's a very strong unit, but has a lot of counterplay. So him and actually Vivian are going to be sort of similar in how they operate. They're both DPS picks that can 1v4, that are just strong damage units, but you have to be careful what you pick them into. They both have weaknesses to units like Solitaria. If Remnant Violet just doesn't dodge, he's a dodge mainly unit, right? 70% is what she'd be sitting at after buffs. He can just die, but assuming you do play the odds, you do dodge when you need to, he can absolutely decimate. Very strong pick into the right hands. Now that what do you call it, Lionheart Sermi is kind of appearing a lot again, Remnant Violet is seeing a ton of play. Just once again, be careful of counter picks like Solitaria. Be careful of units that can strip him or remove his evasion that don't need to hit him. Be careful of units that do have a ton of hit chance as well. There's a lot of counter picks for him, but if you pick him carefully, build him properly, you do need some very nice gear for him so that he can survive. Ideally, you want to take a hit when you're unlucky. Don't let him be so squishy that if you just get 30% hit, guys, he dies instantly. But overall, I will rate him as a strong pick. If you guys know what you're doing, pick him, and I think you'll do very well. Just make sure you commit a lot of gear to him and pick him carefully in real-time arena. All right, guys, next up is Conqueror Lilias, and I'm actually not going to place her in the best overall like some of y'all think for one reason, and that's mainly gearing. There's going to be another unit that's going to go at the very top. I only want to put one unit here at the best overall. Some of y'all can probably already guess it. But Conqueror Lilias, we'll talk about PvE real fast. Very strong Ancient Inheritance, very strong, what do you call it? Hall of Trials, just really, really strong kit overall. Undispellable Vigor buff, dual attacks, and then for the PvP, just one of the most insane units. Stacked kit, does literally everything, can control an enemy team on her own. I'm only not putting her best overall, guys, because if some of y'all are newer, which is most of y'all watching this video, my veterans probably don't need help you know, you guys probably already have all these, but Conqueror Lilias is going to be more of a later pick when you can get speed to make her really scary, on top of having enough bulk and effectiveness to make sure she doesn't die super fast and land those debuffs. Once you can get everything on her, ideally I would say like higher than 280. People are pushing 300, 310, 320 just to show you all the speed at higher levels. You don't need that much, but you do want to make her faster. The reason she's so strong is because she threatens a lot of units in that mid-range speed, and she can either dual attack, kill them, provoke them, or just attack break them in general. That's why she's an insane unit. She has so much to her kit. She's almost a never bad pick. Very, very good. So just make sure. If you guys have gear, then she would probably go up here. If you guys have a lot of speed gear, put her at the top. But for those of you that are newer, that don't have any speed gear, let's keep her here at the very top. We'll go left to right as well, okay? Now, the best overall pick, guys, I'm going to say is Mediator Kawerik. Some of y'all might argue that Conqueror Lilias is better, and you know what? You guys could be right for certain scenarios. It's really going to depend on player, each individual player basis. But Mediator Kawerik is just going to be so insane for anyone that wants to dabble into Arena, Guild Wars. Remember, he's not good PvE. There's better Soul Eaters and better Cleansers. But for anything you want to do PvP related, you don't need to have any effect resist. You don't need to really have anything. Just slap him on a speed set with maybe some HP main stat, necklaces or rings. Put him on some speed boots, and you're good to go. He's a face roll easy cleanser that you don't have to worry about debuffs. He provides attack up, immunity, so much utility in forms of combat readiness push. His skill 2, the barrier for survivability, the attack break, the strip is insane. He's a toolbox of utility that just cannot be debuffed. He only has a very few select hard counters, mainly like skill pushback things. So just one of the most brain dead picks, I think, for PvP. Specifically, if you guys need help with cleansing and PvP, just pick this guy up. Strong against Angel of Light Angelica, strong against so many of the annoying problem units in the game currently. I don't really need to overstate it. I think, guys, if you don't know how good your gear is, just take the Mediator Kawerik. If you don't already have him, you can get Conqueror Lilias again later when you have better speed gear. But overall, I think these two are going to be like the top 2 premier, obviously, overall. But I'm going to put Mediator Kawerik clearly at the top. Next up is Sage Vivian. This unit I like a lot. I think she's a strong pick, and she has a lot of similarities to Remnant Violet, okay? Very strong in Apocalypse. Ravi, very strong into dark units in general. Spectre Tenebria, but she loses to units like Solitaria. She loses units like Rimuru, Inferno Kawazu, anyone that can really bypass her focus, or furthermore, guys, anyone that can overwhelm her focus stacks. Essentially how she works is she gets focus stacks that reduce a ton of damage, but any kind of hits that do a certain amount of damage will lower them, and so she can get overwhelmed. So it could be tricky 1v4ing. She does need a lot of gear like Remnant Violet, maybe not as much, but you do want like a lifesteal set typically to keep her sustained. Gearing, you guys, if you guys go into Banshee, you'll probably be able to gear up appropriately. Just be careful with counter picks. If you want to fight units like Box Ravi, Spectre Tenebria, this is your girl. Just pick her later in the RT draft, 4th or 5th spot. Very strong pick, though. Next up, guys, we have Commander Pavel. Now, this one is definitely not my area of expertise, but I fought enough of them. I talked to enough people that play him to know, and I'm going to build one up myself soon. But I'm going to put him in the more niche. Be careful. Remember what I said, though, guys. All these units are good. It's just this is for cleave only. I haven't seen him work outside of a cleave comp. And on top of that, you really need to have the right composition in mind for PvP to make sure he works, right? To set him up, you need to have critical chance. You need to land some critical hits with certain units. And to set that up, you need to potentially gear your openers in weird ways. So if you're newer and you're not sure yet, be very careful picking him. If you understand how his abilities work and you think you want to build your entire account or draft around him, he can be very, very strong still. I think we see a little bit less of him these days, but he's still a strong unit overall. So cleavers, just be prepared if you want him to build around him. Next up is Death Dealer Ray. Also, I'm going to put him in the more niche category. Now, I think before Landy, Moonlight Landy, Admiral Landy came out, Death Dealer Ray alongside Solitary and Sharoon was actually controlling the battlefield. He's so strong in units like Rowana. Anyone that doesn't build super fast, he can control Venom and just destroy with sleeps. He's just really, really strong into certain matchups. But I think now with the aggressive push from Landy and things like that, we see a little bit less of him. But those of you that like his kit, that want to play control style stuff, injury, things like that, he is still very good. Trust me on this. Don't let anyone tell you he's underpowered. Just you gotta, once again, build a team comp around him and know what you're getting into. If you like that control style, I think he's your guy. Last but not least, we have the Astromancer Elena. Now this one, I've only seen, guys, at the higher levels of play, I've only seen like a few players really pull her off. If you're a newer player and thinking, oh, she can counter, she stops all counter units, she's going to be insane versus things like Landy, it doesn't always quite work out how you want. You really got to dedicate a lot of gear, and you have to have a lot of draft and just PvP knowledge to make her work, because a lot of times she doesn't fulfill her spot, or you count entirely on her and let too many counters through, and your opponent will ban her, for example. But if we're talking Arena Guild Wars, obviously she has a powerful and very unique kit. If you guys like, I think a lot of people like her as a waifu status too. Once again, all these units are great, just she's going to be in the more niche category, and especially the higher you go in PvP, guys, for cleaving and things like that, I don't see too much of her compared to these other units, all right? So be careful with her, but none of these are bad. Overall, once again, to recap, just take Mediator Kawerik if you're unsure. If you think you have the gear to back it up, you can take Conqueror Lilias. And don't forget, Sage Vivian is on the coin shop rotation. If you guys have any other specific questions, more in depth for you specifically, feel free to stop by my Twitch stream anytime. Just say, hey, Car, I watched the video. Can you please help me out on my account? I have, this kind of circumstance, and I will, listen, and I can address each one individually. But this is the general kind of rundown, all right? Enjoy, guys. It's a good time to be playing Epic 7. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.